Welcome to another Sunday Night Live, and it is summertime, so it is live, not live. So I am coming to you pre-recorded. However, in the fall, I will be back here with you fully live. But for now, this girl is taking every opportunity to squeeze all the juice out of summer. So with that, I am so appreciative of that you are here. If you are new here, please make sure you hit the subscribe button because I have some really juicy content for you today. And if you've been here before, I don't want to say if you're old here, but if you've been here before, then thank you as always. And I want to really encourage you to drop some comments in the chat. If you have questions, I will come back and I always will answer your questions because I want to make sure that you have as much clear information as possible, that I don't leave you confused. I always say my goal is to help you navigate through all the confusion of what's out there in the world. There is a lot of confusion when it comes to health and wellness and nutrition. Before we get started, I do want to let you know that if you are local, I am having a women's high vibe wellness event right here on Thursday, July 31st here at New Hudson Chiropractic, and it's from 4 to 7. And tickets are available on Eventbrite. I'll make sure that I put that in the show notes. So if you're local and you'd like to be here, it's going to be amazing. I will be talking about women's health and hormone health and how we add lifestyle interventions in to help support ourselves as we age and make sure that we are aging as gracefully as possible. I've got someone coming in talking about financial health. We have red light therapy, and we have somebody coming in talking about mindset and resiliency and a whole bunch of other really cool stuff. So you won't want to miss it. Again, if you are local, I really want to invite you here. Hey, and if you live out of town and you want to fly in, come on, let's do it. So today's episode, what I want to really focus on today, again, is sleep. I've been doing a few more talks on sleep, a few more videos on sleep. The reason it's so important is because each and every day, I talk to patients who have resolved themselves to the fact that they've just never been a good sleeper, and that's normal for them. And much of our health issues, much of our hormonal issues, much of our inability to think clearly and be productive and have good energy during the day really falls on the fact that we aren't getting good sleep. We are doom scrolling. We're just constantly stressed during the day. We have too many things that we've created in our world that we are responsible for, and it really sidelines us. So in today's episode, I'm going to talk about the science behind that. And with each thing that I talk about, I'm going to give you a few nutrients that you can try to use to support each different phase. Now, I preface this by saying is that we can't out nutrient overall poor quality sleep. So nutrients may help a little bit, but there's a whole bunch of other lifestyle things that probably need to get addressed as well. And one of the things that I talked about, I did a video the other day, and I just said, get out and take a walk in the middle of the day. As we go into this, much of what happens during sleep and sleep disruption is the fact that during the day, we are constantly being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. What does that actually mean? That means that we are constantly faced with deadlines, phone calls, projects, people. We are just going from one end to the next like a chicken with our heads cut off. And the problem with that is that your body doesn't know that you're late for picking up the kids or you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. It has no idea. And so hormonally and biochemically, it does the exact same thing. It creates stress hormones that cause a disruption in your brain, in your body, in your digestion, and ultimately in your sleep. So if we can start to manage these things during the day when all of this stress is really falling upon our shoulders, then we can start to recognize better quality sleep. So I'm going to take this 30,000 foot view today, talk about each different phase of what happens and why we are having so much disruption. And the first thing that I always say is that, and let me ask you this question. I'll start with this, is do you wake up at 2 a.m. and are you able to fall asleep at night? Are you able to stay asleep? And then 2 a.m. comes and your body is just like ready for a party. Your brain has suddenly decided it wants to go on overdrive. You've got a million thoughts racing and you don't know what time you're going to be able to fall back asleep. This is really common. When you're waking up at 2 a.m., your adrenals are bursting cortisol. And when that happens, it means that your body is sensing stress and danger. So cortisol, if you think about if you're under danger, if you have to run from a saber-toothed tiger, we need that cortisol burst to be able to provide us with energy so that we can run, so we can save our lives. And the problem is we're not supposed to do that at 2 a.m. I mean, not unless a tiger comes into your cave. But earlier in the day, if you're constantly pushing and pushing and pushing your body, then when you lie down at night, your body doesn't know when it's supposed to be regulated. It's not really sure when it's supposed to actually provide you appropriately with the proper hormones. So when we get this is really a survival response. So I want you to first understand why you're not getting good sleep. So two things. Are you falling asleep okay and then waking up and not staying asleep? Or are you somebody who just can't fall asleep and your brain is just racing and you have all of those crazy thoughts? You're just trying to think about everything you have to do the next day, what you have to do for work, what you have to do for the family. I have to go grocery shopping. The kids have this. I have 3 kids and 14 sports and I don't know where to get them and how. It's amazing what we have put on ourselves today as parents. So those are your 2 main sleep issues. And it's usually stemming from all the things during the day. What's happening during this time is your liver is actually detoxifying and your blood sugar starts to drop. And then your brain panics. So when we start to get this drop in blood sugar, that can also force that cortisol burst and can also cause that awakening. So we can manage some of this blood sugar drop by maybe before you go to bed, you can have a little bit of yogurt or so just something small to put in your body. I like a good high fat yogurt because there's protein, there's fat in there. It's not really high in sugar, but it helps to regulate blood sugar. It's not spiking blood sugar. So that's one of my favorites, if you could just have a little bit of something maybe a little teaspoon of maybe peanut butter or something like that. I like the high fat because it tends to keep us satisfied longer and we get a longer time before our blood sugar begins to drop. So you can start to think about what could I do before bed if you're starting to get these kinds of wake ups. Some of the nutrients that you can try are magnesium glycinate and magnesium threonate. Magnesium threonate is amazing because mag threonate actually crosses the blood-brain barrier, gets into the brain and helps calm from the brain. Mag threonate is amazing because it can help all of that brain chatter as well. And then magnesium glycinate is amazing because it actually will help to calm the nervous system. And both of those forms of magnesium will actually promote a deeper sleep, a better sense of calm and a better state of sleep. You can also do chromium at night, and chromium can actually help to support that blood sugar balancing overnight. But I think too, if you can do something small, like again, not a meal, just something really light on your belly, not high sugar at all, but think high protein, high fat, then that's going to actually help hold your blood sugar stable throughout the night. So when we get this type of response, we're getting what's called, we have our hypothalamus in the brain, we have the pituitary, which is in the brain, we're dealing with our thyroid gland, and we have our adrenal glands, which are down in like about your mid-back, right on your kidneys. They're these little glands that sit on the kidneys, and the adrenals are the ones that burst that cortisol. Well, the hypothalamus and the pituitary are up here. They're communicating. Hypothalamus is what's responsible for mood regulation, sex drive, whether you're hot or cold. It helps to regulate your hunger, your satiety centers. So the hypothalamus is a really important organ. And it's really this whole cascade, this what HPA axis we call it. It's like your internal alarm system. So when something's wrong on one side of it, it's going to affect the whole cascade. So if you are, if your brain is actually perceiving any kind of stress, it can affect anywhere along that cascade. And so what happens is this can lead to anxiety. This is where the, panicking upon waking. I get some patients who get this, like their heart races and they immediately wake up in the middle of the night. That is a disruption in this HPA axis. You can get emotional outbursts, inability to regulate your mood. You get into this, I call it wired but tired cycles. So you're completely exhausted. Your body would love to go to sleep, but you're completely wired and you cannot shut the brain down. And this is where your hormones are just misfiring everywhere along that cascade. And you feel like you're flatlining at that point. So things that can help us with that, if we want to repair the adrenals, we can use vitamin C. You can have vitamin C throughout the day. In fact, vitamin C is utilized for just about every cellular function in the body. I like to do powdered vitamin C. And I have my vitamin C, I have my creatine, and I have my electrolytes in there. And I drink that slowly over time. I don't just shoot it down, which is one of the reasons I like a powdered C better than a pill or a tablet, because even though they're time released, I don't know, it's just easier to get liquid down for me. So you could do vitamin C that would help. Any kind of a B complex is going to be very helpful to the nervous system and help anywhere along this cascade. And then we have adaptogens with like rhodiola, holy basil, and ashwagandha. And those can all help to modulate the stress response. Now, again, I say this saying to you that none of these are going to be a Hail Mary. So you're going to have to look also at some lifestyle habits. I've done videos on this before. What kinds of lifestyle changes would actually help to regulate sleep, would actually help to regulate hormones. These are just going to be additional things. So if you're still eating like garbage, you're not exercising, you're not drinking enough water, these supplements are not really going to help you. So pay attention to the lifestyle things, and then we can add these in as an adjunct to that. Now, your thyroid can start to tank. In fact, many women in perimenopause and menopause start to experience thyroid issues, and we need estrogen to help drive that. But what happens is the thyroid starts to tell the brain, slow everything down. We're in danger. Again, we're talking about this like fight or flight. We need to get back into our rest, digest, and repair, but we're being chased by that tiger. So what happens is when the thyroid starts to tank, the metabolism tanks. And what does that mean? That means you start to get the fluff around the center. That means you start to either gain weight and or have an inability to lose weight, even though you're doing all the right things. You're exercising, you're eating right, you're drinking your water, you're still gaining weight. This is very much a menopause, perimenopause, menopause-driven issue. And this is a hormonally driven issue. And so again, looking at like really trying to go back to what are the lifestyle things that I'm not paying attention to? Where can I tap in a little bit deeper on my lifestyle habits? How can I be better in all the different pillars of health in order to get my thyroid back again? Now, I love a good thyroid supplement. I take one every night, and the one I love, there are some practitioners out there who will only give you, they're like, just take more iodine. The problem with the iodine is iodine only works with one part of that cascade. I love a supplement that actually helps to fuel the whole cascade, the whole thyroid. So it's thyroid and adrenals communicating again with the brain. So selenium is excellent. Selenium helps that thyroid make the conversions of thyroid hormone, and it helps to lower thyroid antibodies. So if you have an autoimmune thyroid issue, Hashimoto's or anything like that, selenium is actually going to support that. Zinc is critical for thyroid hormone production as well as immune health. So it can help you in multiple ways there. And then tyrosine is a key amino acid for actually helping to build the thyroid hormones. So you can be lacking in tyrosine, and then there's B vitamins as well in there. So one of the things too is Brazil nuts are incredibly high in selenium, and people will eat 1 or 2 Brazil nuts each and every day and swear that their thyroid functions better because they're having the Brazil nuts. Pumpkin seeds are really high in zinc. And then of course, seaweed. If you have seaweed snacks, you're eating sushi, that's seaweed there, but you can buy the seaweed, the sheets of seaweed snacks, and that's really high in iodine. In fact, I know men who eat Brazil nuts for testicular health, for prostate health. So Brazil nuts are incredibly rich in nutrients. So Brazil nuts, pumpkin seeds, seaweed snacks would be amazing for thyroid function. Now, let's talk about what all of this means. So what are all of the different symptoms that you could be experiencing? And this may or may not be a full list, and everyone is very different and unique. So some people may have some of these, they may have all of them, they may have one of them, but then some other things that I don't mention. So if I haven't mentioned something, just put it in the comments and let me know, what are you experiencing when it comes to this hormonal dysregulation, when it comes to thyroid function and sleep? So I really want you to understand that it's not a normal part of aging when it comes to poor quality sleep. And you're not just too busy. And this is absolutely not normal. We need to make sure we're getting this regular sleep. What the symptoms that you may notice are you're waking up between 2 and 4. We talked about that. Your adrenals are having a party and you don't want one. Your brain is racing. You can get salt cravings. You can get sugar cravings. You could get a combination of both of those. You can have anxiety. You can feel overwhelmed, irritable. This is so common. We lose our fuse, especially when we start to lose estrogen as we get older. Our ability, our buffer zone as women to have our patience, to just not get triggered by things is much smaller. So anxiety, overwhelm, and irritability. So men, be very kind. Don't walk on eggshells, but just be kind and understanding around your woman. You can get those afternoon crashes, the energy crash. And then of course, the afternoon cravings are also a sign of that. And also be very careful of, I really need coffee to wake up and I really need wine to calm down. Those are 2 very dangerous traps. I'm not saying don't drink coffee in the morning or don't have a glass of wine, but if you're finding that you have to have coffee or you have to have more coffee than you would normally drink within reason, and then you're feeling like, oh my God, it was such a stressful day, I have to have a drink. Those are dangerous traps. Start paying attention to that, because typically 1 glass of wine can lead to more. And that can also really tank out your hormones and tank your energy and of course cause weight gain. So, and when we do that, that's what contributes to that stubborn belly fat. I call it the fluff. And you're like, I've never had this before. Where is this coming from? I just want to get rid of it. So pay attention to the habits that you have that are fueling into that. So some nutrients that can help with that. B complex, B complex is going to be a great nutrient to take for any of these things that I'm talking about, because B complex is going to help support energy. It's going to help support mood. It helps support your brain. It helps support your nervous system, and it helps support sleep. It also supports a really important function called methylation. And methylation is something that I think the last time I checked, I think the number's probably higher, but it's predicted that about 40% of people have issues with methylation. And if you're someone who has a methylation issue, you're like, oh my God, that's me. If you don't know about methylation is this is the function that happens in the liver, where the liver is supposed to have certain metabolic processes. So it methylates certain nutrients in order to make them usable in the body. And when you have this genetic dysfunction and you can't methylate properly, then that means that you could have things like autoimmune issues. It could even lead to cancers. It can lead to digestive disorders, chronic pain, chronic health issues. There's a multitude of things. We see birth defects in women who give birth to babies who don't have good methylation. And you can have 2 copies of it. So you can have a copy from your mother and a copy from your father. So this is a genetic thing. So I have 1 copy that I suspect is from my mother's side, because we had cardiovascular issues on my mother's side, and it is often connected with cardiovascular issues. So that means that I am I only methylate at about 70%. If you have 2 copies, then you're only methylating at about 30%. So B complex, make sure you're getting B vitamins in the methylated form. I have a link to my online store in the show notes. And so you can always find good, high quality methylated B vitamins in that online store. Licorice root is incredible, and it helps with cortisol. It helps to regulate the cortisol so you're not getting the spikes in your body. And then, of course, electrolytes. We are all deficient in many minerals, and if we can get good, high quality electrolytes, sodium, potassium, magnesium, these can all really help and be very beneficial for our adrenal balance and adrenal function. That's why I said I have my electrolytes in here. It's a really hot day. I believe it's probably it's got to be close to 90 degrees today. It's 90 spot on. There's a lot of humidity, so there's a lot of sweating outside. I haven't been outside yet, but I'm fueling so that when I go outside later, I will be protected. Now, the big question is, why do women feel this sleep issue more intensely than men? And what happens is women, usually in about that 40 plus, we often get into this, like, we have a career, we are caregivers, we're in these transitions of hormones, our kids are getting older, leaving the house. There's so many different things that are happening in a woman's life. And so progesterone is our calming hormone. Estrogen is our everything hormone. It's our anti-inflammatory. It's our ability to think clearly. It's our ability to sleep. Estrogen is just the most beautiful anti-inflammatory hormone that anybody can have. Men have estrogen, and it is very protective against inflammation. So we get a drop in progesterone. Estrogen decides it's just all over the map. It doesn't know when it wants to show its head or not. And so cortisol then steps in because it wants to fill those gaps. And cortisol is that stress hormone. So it's kind of a bully. It doesn't just fill in the gaps, but it kind of takes over. And so when it does take over, this is when we get emotionally reactive. That is where you probably notice, like, you have a very short fuse. Your tolerance for things are not as good as they should be. And so feeds into that sleep deprivation that affects how we sleep. And of course, we get mentally foggy. When you don't have a good night's sleep, if you don't have one good night's sleep, you know you're going to suffer the next day. And the problem with that is that now string together a whole host of poor night's sleeps. And now you're constantly mentally foggy. How do you function during the day? How are you getting your job done? How are you communicating with your spouse, your kids, your coworkers? It's, are you somebody who's nice to service people, or do you snap because the waitress forgot to bring water? There's so many different ways that this can show up. So please start paying attention to that. And that makes it easier to fix it. And the other thing too, is that the changes in women's bodies happen so fast. In my opinion, it seems to take us by surprise. Really, menopause starts at around 35. We start to lose these hormones, and it is very gradual, but then it feels like it hits us like a Mack truck somewhere in our 40s. Some women go through menopause just beautifully, and then others, it's like, oh my gosh, what is happening? I'm on a crazy train. And that's an ode to Ozzy Osbourne. May he rest in peace. So we start really questioning, who am I? I don't feel like myself anymore. I don't recognize this body. Oh my gosh, my brain, my skin, everything starts to feel like we're just this like person we don't even recognize we don't even recognize now. So some nutrients that can help with that, because we really need to support brain health. And omega-3s, if you're not taking fish oil, omega-3 fatty acids are excellent for reducing inflammation and helping to calm the brain. It's also great for skin health. Those omega-3s help with wrinkles. It's like an anti-aging. We can get, so early on, if you still have a menstrual cycle, you can take chasteberry. That helps support natural progesterone production. And then L-theanine, which is helps promote our calm, focus, again, great for the brain. And it's excellent for anxiety that flares up during any hormonal shift, which we don't really know. We make the shift happens and then we have anxiety and then just, all hell breaks loose. So if you can take some things like that support brain on a regular basis, then you're less likely to succumb to the hormonal shifts that are going to drive your brain to either wake up at night in the middle of the night for no apparent reason, or even just like, snap at somebody when you didn't really mean to. So this is all really just a reminder. Women are getting dismissed far too often. I'm getting story after story in my practice about women looking for answers, trying to get help with these things, and they're just being dismissed. Because the problem is you go get labs from your traditional medical doctor, and then you're told everything looks fine. You're fine. I have a patient that I'm working with who she has Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid autoimmune issue. And she said she was only diagnosed with it about a year ago. She's in her early 60s. And she said, no, my doctor had been telling me for years my thyroid was fine. So here's what happens is that on those labs, the ranges are very wide. So to be diagnosed with an autoimmune issue, let's say this is like, this would be normal over here, and then this would be some autoimmune issue way out here. The problem is you can be all the way here and still have your labs show normal. And then you get to here. So this is what I call the subclinical. So the lower end of the spectrum that is really in functional medicine, it's out of balance according to functional medicine ranges. We have the ability to evaluate those from a functional perspective and say, you are subclinical, you do have a thyroid issue. And oh my gosh, the number of people I've talked to and I've said, your thyroid's off, but my doctor told me it was fine. It's not, because they're only focusing on traditional lab numbers. You have to be so far out of range in order to actually even be considered. And then now what? It's a diagnosis. There's no treatment other than I'm going to put you on a thyroid medication. They don't address the brain. They don't address the pituitary, the anterior pituitary, the hypothalamus. They don't address the adrenals. They don't address stress. None of that. And we have got to get to a place where we start to manage and pay attention to the lifestyle issues that women are going through, because the dismissal until you get so sick that now you require medication, that's not okay. We have to optimize health long before we get completely sick. We get completely to a place where our bodies feel like we're broken. So I'm here to tell you, you are not broken. You just need the right answers and you need the right people to work with. So please make sure you stay connected with me. Leave a comment on this video. Have you felt dismissed in the medical field? Are you searching for answers? And of course, you can always reach out to me. We are taking new patients. I would love to talk to you and see how I can help you through managing the right habits, the right foods, the right nervous system support, all of the different ways that I can help to have you reclaim your sleep, reclaim your mental bandwidth, and of course, reclaim your health and feel like yourself again. So I hope that lands well with everybody. I would love if you could please share this video with some women that you know who could use this message, who's looking for help, who's constantly searching for answers, who hasn't been able to find it. And that's what I am here for, is to help give you the answers to get you to a place where you feel fully optimized, energetic, thinking clearly, living your best life. And all right, so with that, I'm going to sign off. I appreciate each and every person watching this video as always. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. All right. We'll see you on the next one.